Just getting set up. All right, put on my reading glasses. Okay, I'm gonna set. Welcome, thank you for your patience. Just feel free to kind of come settle in as you wish, wherever you are. I missed yesterday. I got caught up and caught up in some exciting, people, exciting things. So it's nice to be here now. Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. So what my goal is I've been reading a chapter of the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners. It's a guide to living and dying by Lama, Lhanang, Rinpoche, and Mordy, Levine. And today I'm going to be reading chapter 6, which is entitled Supporting Loved Ones as They Approach Death. Some of the headings are prepare our state of mind, plan ahead before entering, maintain a peaceful and quiet environment, limit or eliminate interpersonal tension, disagreements with family members or friends, keep calm, be a good listener, other specifics, get professional help, do not push or pull, ensure they're physically comfortable, play music, other specific prayers or chants, support them with a spiritual guide, be present, let it be, what may arise during the visit, how do you handle questions about death or beyond, how can we recognize the signs of death, and then it kind of goes through like it says phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, and then phases 6 to 8. So that's a lot of territory to cover. But I'll open it up with so the practice is essentially, my goal is to, in the next hour, so in an hour or less, so that I can repost it here. What I'm going to do is, I've been reading a chapter from a book called the Tibetan Book of the Dead for Beginners, a guide to living and dying. There's a quote, "The past is history, the future is mystery, the present moment is a gift," and that's Lama Lhanang Rinpoche. And so I'm going to read the chapter, and then I'm going to pull, so it's called the Spirit Animal Oracle, and it's by a person named Collette Baron-Reid. And so I love it because I just like to pull a card and then see, I sort of reflect on, like, does the card sort of line up with what I read, right? So the practice and the invitation for you guys, like, there's no expectation, You're here voluntarily. Everything that I kind of try to put out there is meant to be like an invitation that you can take or leave. There's no expectation, and it's not to make you feel or to believe a certain thing. It's just that the practice is opening it up to having an individual reflective practice, but then having a shared experience. And then what I do is I like to go and see how many people sort of popped in or popped out. And then I kind of dedicate the hour practice. One of the ways that I benefit and one of the reasons why I do it is because I live with just conditions. I live with circumstances in which I can appear one way in one moment and then another way in another moment. And I'm certified in what's called personal medicine coaching, and this is a program that's created by and supported by and rolled out by a person named Pat Deegan. And so I've taken some certification. These are tools I use, but the basic principle behind it is that our personal medicine, so our individual personal medicine, also includes the things that we do and not just take for our own personal wellness and our own recovery. So it's rooted in the principles of self-determination. And so if anything that comes out of my mouth sounds like advice or a sales pitch or a plea for whatever, please just know that that's not what I'm about. So there's no expectation. I'm learning these tools. It's kind of interesting to be here. It's really like TikTok's a lot, but it's kind of cool to be sort of learning the history about the platform and sort of where it's going. And then I love pop culture, so I just see it as like this is what media looks like now, right? So I'm going to get started. Welcome everyone. So the dedication by the authors is, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings rejoice in the well-being of others. May all beings live in peace, free from greed and hatred. And this is something called the four immeasurables. So the invitation, I'm going to be reading chapter 6, which is supporting loved ones as they approach death. From a lived experience standpoint, my mom passed on January the 4th. And so, while it's very, we all sort of know what our experience is with losing a loved one. There's so much that I'm really thankful for, and this is part of the practice. So I actually started reading a couple of other books. The first one being Ram Dass, How Can I Help? And then I read Polishing the Mirror. And so this is just a practice to send love, and so this is looking at how do we support loved ones as they approach death. If you look over my shoulder as well, this here is the light shining on it in a weird way, but it's called family wrap. So part of what I know, part of what's in my skill bank is wellness, recovery, action planning and stuff like that for families, but coming from a standpoint that we are also like our priority. And then if you look over my shoulder here, you'll see some polka dots on top of polka dots. This is Bo H. Regard, my service dog, and he's on his break. And he's on his heated leopard print blanket, so feel free to explore. Also, just feel free to, wherever you are, just get maybe even 1% more comfortable, shifting your posture. If you're caught up in any sort of feelings or feeling any sort of way, an invitation is to just see if you can focus on your breath and your breathing and how you're breathing. Don't try to change it. Just sort of see if you can tell what's up. Like, like for me, I can tell that my breathing is kind of going in and out of my nose real quick, but that'll shift as I read. So shush, Angus, and read us a book. I'm Angus Wright. I also go by Angus by Design. So thanks. Welcome here. I'm going to read this, pull a card. I've already jibbered for a good 11 minutes. So the idea is to hopefully get all this in within the hour so I can post it and then it's available. Okay, I'm going to take a drink. Okay. Supporting loved ones as they approach death. Our loved ones lived their lives as best they can, and now their impending death awaits. The past is gone and can't be changed, and the final clock is ticking down. Maybe they believe in the bardo, maybe they don't. We can still help them die peacefully. These suggestions will help them transition to their next phase with less emotional suffering. So prepare our state of mind. Our loved one and those who care about them may be in emotional and or physical pain. We may be in emotional pain as well. Sometimes the stress of a coming loss drives us to try to control what is going on around us. We may think we know best, and we want to be of help. Before we can be of help, let's check in with ourselves. Take a few minutes before entering the house, room, or hospital. How are you doing? How are you feeling? If we can observe and witness our feelings and emotions, we can be more in touch with how we are feeling. There is no need to validate, label, judge, analyze, or suppress any of these emotions. We are just checking in and observing. This alone will help us be centered, calm, and ready to help. So one way to check in is to observe your breath for a few minutes. My gosh, I feel like I'm having a flashback to a couple moments ago when I invited you to observe your breath. Now that we have checked in with ourselves, it is good to recognize that we are there to reduce suffering. So we may not need to control anything. We can take the attitude of being of service to those who are suffering. So we are there to support, to listen, and to be of service. So what a beautiful opportunity. So this is the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners. It's a guide to living and dying. you'll see it has the library sticker on it. That's actually how I acquired it. At one point I was able to hold my organizational self and be able to borrow library books and stuff like that. But then I kind of fell out of wellness or got distracted, who knows, and ended up paying the fine. So now I own the book, but hey. So I just like to share that because, hey, that's something that I'm always trying to forgive myself for, is all the sort of like perceived mistakes I think I make. So I'm just reading this chapter. I'm going to try to pull a card. And the invitation is just, consider what you might need to feel safe, I guess, talking about these things or reflecting on it. This is a space that's being held without expectation, with the idea that you're safe here, other than, the usual risks that come from the internet, right? That we can or can't control. I've tried to, and I continue to try to take steps to make sure that the environment's inviting. There's no expectation. This is just practice. So plan ahead. So consider bringing a plant, flowers, or pictures that your loved one or people who might enjoy. Pictures made by children or grandchildren can bring joy and hope. Light, soft music can lift spirits. Favorite foods, if allowed, can do wonders. And ask beforehand what foods may be appreciated. Oh yeah, all that's very thoughtful. And so before entering, prior to entering the dying person's room or home, we can take a few moments to check in with ourselves. So we can take a few breaths, experience a few moments of silence, recite a prayer or a meditation. These will help us bring calm and love to ourselves and our loved one. So in fact, we can do these simple practices any time of day, anywhere. As we develop this habit, it will become natural to do it whenever we need it in any circumstances. So maintain a peaceful and quiet environment. So as our loved ones are dying, they can be very sensitive and their hearing can be quite good, regardless of their condition. So they can likely hear, understand, or feel loud noises from another room, arguments about their condition, or discussions of troubling news. Speaking quietly and calmly can allow them to feel at peace. Just reading from the book, Tibetan Book of the Dead for Beginners, A Guide to Living and Dying. This is written by Lama Lhanang Rinpoche. He was a teacher of Buddhism from the lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, born in Tibet. He currently directs a center in San Diego. So that's who, the expert is behind that. This is just a practice and a reading for reflection. Okay, so limit or eliminate interpersonal tension. So any differences between family members or friends should be placed on the back burner until after visiting the dying person. So, or better yet, now is a good time to mend any fences that may need repair. If the time feels right, requesting and giving forgiveness allows the dying person to let go of life without being pulled back by loose emotional ends. If it doesn't feel right to do so, then we can show that a relationship is one of love and support simply by how we are at any given moment. So, not everybody or not everything needs to be talked out. We can let our love and the look in our eyes express our love and support. So, thinking a great way of sort of demonstrating that principle or that idea, right? Eliminating that kind of interpersonal tension. So, a practice is my brain's given me a moment, but essentially it's like doing a reflective meditation. So if I'm on your TV or on your device or whatever and you're looking at me, what you can do as a practice is that you can sort of just like really look at me, like really like look at the details of my face, look at, tie it into the sound of my voice, that sort of thing. And then, the idea there is that I then have a choice or many choices of, potentially changing how that, like how I look, right? So, and that depends on many factors. So that's sort of, I think, one way where you could sort of like consider that. So why don't we do that in a moment? If you see me take in some breaths, you're welcome to also take in some breaths, or, just follow what your thoughts are as you watch or as you listen. Awesome. So, even as a practice for me, sometimes I just need to actually just do that. I can go, 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 and yet never feel maybe like I'm getting caught up. But that's why there's so many variations of how we can practice. So I'm just reading from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, chapter 6. It can be kind of something else, like it is some sort of adult material in terms of helping folks as they're going towards a death. If you are like just brand new to this book or any of that, the concepts in here and what's sort of shared is our idea of death. It can be the big ultimate one, or it can be the death of an idea or what have you, right? So I have all these readings available, so if you need them, just let me know. But it's just to say, try not to get caught up in the words if it feels heavy. You're welcome here. So disagreements with family members or friends. So ask or, if appropriate, maybe encourage the dying person to make up with anyone else that they may have had differences with. You can give them the opportunity to voice their sentiments, regrets, or apologies to you, or even in silence. Their prayers and thoughts will be heard. And of course, if requested, you will share their sentiments with the other party. And keep calm. The emotions you experience and exhibit while in the dying person's presence can be felt and can impact their state of mind. So if you're calm, they are more likely to be calm. If you are agitated or upset, it will be difficult for them to be calm. Remember, we want to afford them the opportunity to pass in a peaceful state of mind. If it is not possible for you to be calm, then feel free to regroup, step outside of the room, and take a few moments to breathe and center yourself. Do this as many times as needed. So there's no formula for how to stay calm during difficult times. We can only do what we can do at that moment. And then be a good listener. So doing our best to accommodate the dying person's wishes is a great act of compassion. So if they want to talk, then we can listen intently without judgment. If they want quiet, we can offer peaceful silence. You can intuit what they might want or just ask them. Even if they are not speaking, sitting in silence is a beautiful way to support and connect with another human being. Other specifics, so you can ask them softly and gently if they want more water, ice chips, medication, food, or their favorite music. No need to bombard them with these questions. You can ask these questions a little at a time, gently and softly. And then get professional help. Consider bringing in a professional or a religious or spiritual guide to provide support. They're wonderful hospice workers, death doulas, hospital chaplains, rabbis, priests, and imams who are steeped with wisdom. They are experienced in listening and supporting people near the end of life and their loved ones. So they are also likely to know the answers to many questions that may arise. It is good to plan this in advance if possible. So again, just behind me is like wrap, which is, there's new free options. There's all sorts of ways that you can tap into that tool. There's lots. It's been something that's been around for 25 years, and excitingly just launched like its whole new future. So it's pretty cool. Do not push or pull, so be gentle. No need to push or pull the dying person about any additional loose ends, tasks, or things to think about. Now is not the time for decisions or weighty conversations. Ensure they're physically comfortable, so pillows, bed adjustments, bed direction, lights, sounds, and where you're sitting can all be resources or sources of comfort or stress. Seek help if it is difficult to physically accommodate your friend or loved one. No rush. All may be done calmly and safely. Play music, so music can be helpful to calm the spirit. Offer to play their favorite music on a device or to sing and play an instrument for them. Sometimes the sound of the human voice in person can make a strong and supportive connection. So ask or intuit what might make them feel comfortable. And other specific prayers or chants. So if you know the dying person has favorite prayers or practices, offer these or seek support in doing so. So it is also okay to ask what their preference is in that moment. Honor their wishes with respect and non-judgment. Open-mindedness and support are the watchwords of all time. So welcome everybody. Oh, very cool. I'm seeing your comment there, Gothic Brina, about dying and coming back. Yeah, that was brought up in here too. That people have those experiences and in all sorts of different ways. So far we've got 68 folks who've passed through, which is really kind of cool. This is sort of dedicated. I'm a Reiki practitioner, which is sort of just the idea that we can kind of be positive energy, and we can sort of, as a practice, kind of hope for that to be projected out there. So you know, I love that. I love these things, to just be considering all sort of experiences, and just wanting good things for people, while still acknowledging, right, like what's going on. So again, another invitation to just get 1% more comfortable as I read chapter 6 from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I got in my library. Like, there's so many variations of this book. So many people have been inspired to create their own material, like, from it as a guide. So there we go. So support them with a spiritual guide. So hang a picture of their favorite religious figure, saint, or deity. So for example, Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Mary, etc. Or bring other items that may make them feel spiritually connected. If possible, it's good to ask in advance about this. But it is also okay to ask them what their preference is in that moment. Be present. So your presence is the greatest gift you can offer someone who's dying. So even if it is uncomfortable for you, it can be deeply meaningful and reassuring. The best way to avoid feeling awkward is just to be present in that moment with your friend or loved one. Your attention is what has the greatest impact. In that vein, it is a good time to turn your phone off. So observing and connecting with your natural breathing can help you stay present and settle a racing or agitated mind. So in the moment you are with the loved one, or a loved one, there's no need to think about what you can or should do or say. Offering the care of your attention is more than sufficient. And let it be. Regardless of their state of mind, we can be open and understanding. So most people are not prepared for dying. We can listen, be present, and be calm. If the dying person is agitated, listen quietly. Your calm, soft demeanor is likely to calm them. We cannot control their state of mind, so we can only offer ours. Sometimes even just offering your hand in theirs can have a calming effect. All right. And so the goal is to do this chapter, and then I want to pull a card for inspiration. What may arise during the visit? So your loved one can be experiencing fear, uncertainty, anger, guilt, regret, depression, and a whole host of spiraling emotions. If they want to hear your perspective, you can speak with a calm and reassuring tone and share how they have done wonderful things in their life, how their belief in God or other higher being will take care of them when they pass, that you will, of course, miss them, and you will remember all the wonderful memories that you have, what you've learned, and what you will be able to pass on to others. How their lives have impacted others for the better, and how much you or others have loved and cherished them. How their presence in the world will live on through others for generations to come. And your loved one may appear not to be conscious of visitors or their surroundings, but please don't let that stop you from sharing words of care and encouragement. So science has proven that people who are dying or comatose may in fact hear what is being said around them. So with that in mind, we can all speak with them calmly and express our love or respect or admiration for them. Ooh-wee, that's, so earlier I shared that my mom recently passed, and it was, it's reminding me of a powerful moment because on January 3rd and 4th, I was taking, I was in a training program with a community of practice out of Berlin. And it was being led in part with somebody named Daniel Fisher, who is the, he's part of the National Empowerment Center in the US, and he's in part, he created emotional CPR, which is just built off of his story because he was in, he was kind of like comatose in his body. He wasn't able to communicate to the outside. And his story shares about how it was interns who were just very respectful to him and kind to him. And how at one point, one of them just said, you know, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just blink your eyes or nod your head or something like this. And he was able to do it, which was, it's powerful to hear him explain it because it's, you know, it's kind of like that idea of like connecting within ourselves first, right? And reconnecting to ourselves. So, so when I read this, I think of him because he'll tell you in his own words. But I was in his program. I was in that space when I got the call. So, but I also had the opportunity, with thanks to an officer, a responding officer, to communicate and to pray with my mom. So this is giving me personally reassurance about that, because while I was maybe dramatic and all of that, this is kind of the checklist of what I was doing. Got to share all our love. Anyway, so how do you handle questions about death and beyond? So if your loved one expresses anxiety about death or what comes next, you can assure your loved one that God or the higher presence that they believe in is one of forgiveness and acceptance, and they can count on that. They can focus on their God or a higher power that is always with them. That focus alone is enough to be welcomed into heaven and the kingdom of God and the afterlife, or the Bardo, right? Depending on your beliefs. And without any doubt, without any doubt, their love, positive deeds, and thoughts will do them well as they enter the next phase. So repeating prayers or mantras out loud or silently will help them stay connected with God or that higher being. A mantra is a phrase or word whose sound and or meaning resonates to help with concentration or to clarify and purify our state of mind. So each faith has its own phrases that can bring solace and comfort. Christ, Mary, Buddha, and the Prophet Muhammad and Moses are all representations and manifestations of love, compassion, a higher being. They can be relied on to anyone's call for help or compassion. Your loved one can be encouraged to speak with those wonderful higher beings or their higher self, or pray to them. And in appending, say, we offer words of encouragement that might help in this way. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I gotta get going. How much quicker I gotta? Okay, so I'm gonna hammer out the rest of this because I got about just under 20 minutes. I want to be able to read the rest of this chapter of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, A Guide to Living and Dying, and then pull a card. Just reading chapter 6. So how can we recognize the signs of death? When we are attentive and our minds are clear, with some experience, we are able to see and feel the progression of the physical body shutting down. So by studying what is going on in the body when it goes through the dying process, we will not be surprised as it happens. So we can gain confidence or mental comfort as we follow this progression as it happens in others or ourselves. We can recite the appropriate prayers before death if that is part of our practice, and know when it is time to remove the body after death. And by observing this progression, we can know if death is near or still far off. So Tibetan medicine has detailed the signs of the body's deterioration. They mirror closely to Western observations. So the following is a brief overview of the major signs that accompany the dying process. And so I'll be reading the 8 phases, and then that's the end of the chapter. And then that was a big one and is a big one. So I'll take a deep breath, of course, and then we'll pull a card. And then I think the card will really help to give us a shift, right? And to give us a chance to reflect. So here's the brief overview of the major signs. So phase 1, the body feels weak and as though it is sinking into the earth. Eyes can't stay open and the body's color is dull. Phase 2, the body feels dry and may feel thirsty. The hearing sense is diminished. Phase 3, digestion is difficult. Memory fades. Inhalation is weak, while exhalation becomes relatively stronger. Smell is diminished or gone. Phase 4, awareness of what is going on around us is reduced. Taste is reduced or gone, and touch sense is lessened. Phase 5, gross consciousness ceases. Our perceptions, cognition, sense of self, personality all cease. Subtle consciousness remains. Feeling of timelessness, unbounded love, being at one with all. And then phases 6 through 8, a practitioner may become more aware of their heart chakra as energy center located in the center of the chest at heart level, depending upon one's preparation. The mind's awareness may experience a state of clear light, or the true nature of reality. So for details, there's like more in the appendix when we read it. And that's called the Tibetan Book of the Dead summary. And then consciousness leaves the body, which can be noted when the heart center is no longer warm. So the body begins to smell as it decomposes, and the observer has a subtle sense that the consciousness has left. It is at this point, when consciousness leaves the body, that traditional Buddhist lamas recite prayers and have the body removed. So in the absence of experienced lamas, you may recite the prayers in the next chapter. So while these phases of dying are common, each person and progression of death is different. So the most important points are: be present, be calm, be kind, listen with your entire being, be of service. And that is the best way to show our love and support. Wow. Whew. So that was the Tibetan Book of the Dead for Beginners, A Guide to Living and Dying, written by Lama Lhanang Rinpoche, who's been teaching for many, many years, and Mordy Levine, who is the president of the Yigma Lingpa Center and creator of the Meditation Pro series. And it said that he has taught meditation to more than 250,000 people, which is pretty impressive. Also impressive is that we're right on track to meet the goal. Looks like 97 people have rolled in. So I'm about to shuffle and then read a card for the animal spirit. So one of the things that I like to do, I'm just going to look at the chat box because I just want to take a look and see what names popped in, who's here, who's there. Just to kind of skim and scan if people have left any kind of message or have any kind of need or anything that they want to dedicate. This is a really good chance, depending on where you're at or what your personal belief systems are. But if there's words of encouragement that you want to send to somebody, maybe it's something that you're thinking, but it's hard to say it. You could think about it now. And then, in that thought, in that intention, if you're relaxing, then all that good energy, that good karma, the hope that you're feeling, that, to me, that's how we build it up, right? That's how we develop it. And the rest is like tools, right? So there's like rap, like we can make crisis plans, we can think of all sorts of ways, and that's the beauty. It's called an advanced directive. So while we're healthy, we can consider those things and find ways that we can communicate those important needs to people, even when someone might be living with a wellness factor that makes them seem like not themselves, right? Anyway, so this is like taking in all that energy and sort of bringing it to everybody who passed through, everybody who will pass through after. Oh, look, oh, it dropped out right at me. It's the lizard spirit. And I think there's two. Oh my gosh. So there's the lizard spirit that says, dream the world into being. And the turtle spirit that says, slow and steady wins the race. So one of them, so 38 and then 62. So I'll do 38. I'll see if I've got time for 62. So there's like a protection message and an oracle message in these things. Again, it's just for reflection. I like to see if it ties into the topic we just had. And if it doesn't, then I just, it's just a story. Just a story. All right. So 38, lizard spirit, dream the world into being. The oracle message here, as written by Collette Baron-Reid. When was the last time you basked in the sun and allowed yourself to daydream, to imagine what might be and who you might become? Lizard spirit appears when you are called to let your imagination flow and dream something new. Inspiration is available to you now if you are willing to slow down and let your eyes close a little, allowing ideas to dance in your head. What might come into being if you were to pursue your dream? How might you grow and expand if you allowed yourself to dare to believe in the impossible, making it possible first in your dreaming mind and then in the world as you co-create with spirit? So give in to the power of imagination, and soon your dream will become clear. The steps will reveal themselves, and what was ephemeral will begin to coalesce into form. Dream it and be it. Spirit asks you to dare to dream big. And then the protection message. So, have you been allowing your imagination to run amok and dream up a nightmare that seems to have come true? Fear not, for whatever dreaming you did in the past can change today as you dream anew. So wake up from the perception that everything is wrong. Lizard spirit asks you to open your eyes and consciously dream a better dream. What would it look like to already have what you desire and be the one you wish to be? How might it feel to work towards co-creating this new dream as a reality in the world of the senses, drawing it out of the world of dreams and building it in the world of form? Trust in your ability to dream anew. Honor it today. And the kind of cool thing, so that was the lizard saying dream the world into being. So pretty cool little dude. Hey, what's up? Boom. There we go. And then another card had sort of jumped out, and my thing is, hey, if you jump out at me, then maybe I have to read you. So we have time. And it's number 62, and that's the turtle saying slow and steady wins the race. Who doesn't love a turtle? Be it chocolate or otherwise. All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, 6 minutes. So turtle spirit, slow and steady wins the race. The oracle message. Turtle spirit arrives to remind you that when you do what you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that you will see your intentions manifest in perfect timing, your prosperity and love will grow exponentially. Now is not the time to rush around trying to force matters. move slowly, perhaps even so slowly that it almost feels as if you are not moving at all. This may be a time to crawl before walking, taking your time to align to Turtle Spirit's place as you contemplate this road you are on. So doing what you need to do in this small moment that will soon pass. So Turtle Spirit reminds you that sometimes the best action is to slow right down. So if it feels as if you are not doing enough, know that simply being aware of what is happening right now may be an important step towards determining whether you need to pivot or simply keep putting one foot in front of the other. True love and true success comes with patience, says Turtle Spirit. So focus on the now, and the next step will be clear. And then the protection message. So pushing too hard or rushing to leave others in the dust is not the way of Turtle Spirit, even if it seems at times it is the way of the world. So Turtle Spirit wants you to remember that you are a human being, not a human doing. Sorry. Gotta see if I can. There we go. All right. My goodness. So 3 minutes. Sorry about that. Human being, not a human doing. There we go. So in the protection position, Turtle Spirit is giving you the message that the best things to do, or the best thing to do right now, is to let go of the drive to compete or control and do more. Instead, simply be. As an old Norse saying goes, we do without doing, and everything gets done. Spirit conspires on your behalf, so slow to a crawl or even stop, releasing any fear that life is a race that you might be losing. Trust that peace, prosperity, love, and purpose are all yours to enjoy right now. So do not do, simply be. All right. So that was the Turtle Spirit card. So we pulled that one. It jumped out at the same time. His message was slow and steady wins the race. Also read the Lizard Spirit as part of the practice. I got a minute and a half. We read chapter 6 of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The other chapters, so chapter 1, Karma, how we live is how we die. Chapter 2, what dies and what gets reborn. Chapter 3, our consciousness after death. Chapter 4, influencing our next rebirth. Chapter 5, start where we are now. And then we just went over Chapter 6, supporting loved ones as they approach death. Less than a minute, I'll just say the dedication and then the quote and then hang up. So dedication: may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings rejoice in the well-being of others. May all beings live in peace, free from greed and hatred. And the past is history, the future is mystery, and the present moment is a gift. Thanks, everybody, for joining.